A very warm good morning to all my dear darlings of Sri Gokulam Public School. Today we are going to start yet another wonderful English class. I am with you, your Nidana. So my dear students, we were discussing the chapter The Last Leaf written by O. Henry. Let us quickly take a review of our previous class. We said that Johnsy and Sue are amateur painters. In the month of November, Johnsy had pneumonia. Even though the doctor has given her medications, the doctor feels that Johnsy is not recovering from her illness due to her mental condition. Johnsy feels that she is approaching death. She spends most of her time looking out of the window. She counts the falling ivy leaves. She says that 3 days before there were 100 of them, but now it has reduced to only 5. When the last leaf falls, she believes that she will die. Okay? So that is the belief that Johnsy has kept in her mind, and she is waiting for her death, approaching death, and she believes that she will die when the last leaf will fall, which she calculates to be that same day before sunset. Sue's efforts to rekindle hope and faith in Johnsy fails, and Sue feels broken. Okay. Now there are many methods that Sue is using to change Johnsy's mind and to bring faith and confidence in her. She is trying to bring soup for her to drink. She is also trying to talk about food, about clothing and painting, but whatever her talks are, Johnsy is not listening to it. Sue feels completely broken and disheartened, so she is telling Johnsy to take rest, to sleep for some time while she goes down to meet Mr. Berman, who lives in their same building, and the reason why Sue is going to meet Berman is to make him as a model for her next painting, the model of an old miner. Let us get into the story and find out who is Mr. Berman. Sue rushed down to meet Mr. Berman. Mr. Berman was an 60-year-old painter. His lifelong ambition was to paint a masterpiece. Even though he was a wonderful painter, he believed that his masterpiece is yet not been painted. So that was his lifelong ambition. Sue was very worried about Johnsy, so she ran down to Berman and spoke to him everything that she had in her mind. Berman found that Johnsy was behaving in a very foolish and a stupid manner, and he even commented on that. He said that Johnsy is becoming very foolish. Sue said that even though she also accepts the thing, she is very worried because Johnsy is not eating and drinking. Being an elderly person and a father-like figure to both Johnsy and Sue, Berman suggested that he would go and speak to Johnsy. Both of them entered into Johnsy's room. When they reach there, they find that Johnsy is fast asleep. So they tiptoed and walked out of the room. Sue closed the curtains before she left the room. Again, Sue expresses her worries and concern to Berman, and she tells that, see that ivy creeper on the wall? She believes that when the last leaf falls, it is going to be her death. After listening to all this, Berman does not answer a word or speak anything, and he walks out of the house silently. Sue is again left alone with her worried thoughts. That evening there was a heavy storm. Huge, thunderous winds were also there. Next day morning, Johnsy woke up and she asked Sue to open the curtain. She was very worried because it was very definite that in that storm and rain and wind, the leaf would have fallen. She didn't want Johnsy to be depressed anymore. But Johnsy insisted on the curtains to be drawn. When Sue drew the curtains, surprisingly and very shockingly, Johnsy finds the ivy leaf still stuck on the wall. The creeper was creeping on the wall and that ivy leaf was still over there. Johnsy felt very surprised and so also Sue. She says that, look at that leaf, it stays stubbornly on that creeper and that is the only leaf left over there. Johnsy also says that she had actually thought that leaf would have fallen down, but it is a strange thing that the leaf has not fallen down. Sue feels very energetic and says that, see my darling, the leaf is there, which means that you are supposed to live for many years more. And that too for your loving friends. She also goes around, she also goes to Johnsy and hugs her and tells her that if something happened to Johnsy, what would be the condition of herself? So she expresses her love and care by telling that Sue would be most depressed and broken if Johnsy is not there. But Johnsy is not willing to hear yet to the words of Sue. She waits for the last leaf to fall down. That day evening, again there is a storm. Next day morning, she wakes up to find that the leaf is still there on that creeper. Now Johnsy changes her mind. She calls on Sue and tells her that she feels hope inside her. She says that if the last leaf can hang on despite of the storm for the past 2 days, then definitely that is a message being passed on to her. Directly or indirectly, God is commanding her to hold on to her life and fight against her struggles despite of anything that she has to go through. Now Sue feels much relieved. Johnsy is very happy and energetic and filled with hope. Sue runs to bring her soup and a comb to get Johnsy's hair tied up. Both of them sit back and after a very long time, they both sit together and laugh and talk. That afternoon, the doctor came for checking on Johnsy. He finds that Johnsy is in a much happier situation and now the doctor is also hopeful that his medicines are going to work out on her. Doctor also feels relieved and says that now her health will be improved drastically. At the same time, the doctor also says that he is in a hurry and he needs to rush down to see Mr. Berman because he is also down with pneumonia. Next day morning, Sue comes near Johnsy's bed and holds her hand. Sue is completely shattered and broken. She presses on Johnsy's hand and says that our dear Berman has passed away that morning. He had been ill for past 2 days down with pneumonia, and on the first day when he was on the bed, the janitor is the person who is taking care of the building. You can say a watchman kind of a person or a security guard you can say. So the janitor had found near his bed his clothes and shoes which were completely wet. According to the janitor, the painter Berman had been out on that stormy night. Hence he has got pneumonia. Sue pauses and asks Johnsy to look out of the window one more time. She says, Johnsy, just look at that leaf that you see on that wall. And then she continues by saying that The janitor also found a ladder and a lantern, and there were also his paint palette, which had some brushes and colors of green and yellow on it. Very sadly, Sue informs Johnsy that the very leaf that had rekindled the hope and faith in Johnsy was Berman's masterpiece painting. Sue asks Johnsy, "Have you ever wondered why that leaf did not fall or fly away in that heavy storm? It is just because Berman had gone into that stormy night and painted that leaf on the wall or on that ivy creeper, which looked so much real for everyone." Indeed, that was the masterpiece painting of Berman. Berman had lost his life after 2 days, and that was the sacrifice he did for Johnsy to be alive. The story ends over there, leaving a huge message for all of us. Sacrifice might seem like a very small word, but it has got great meaning and great effect on everyone's life. What is that you do for your dear ones? How much selfless are you when you are with your loved ones? These are some questions which we need to ask ourselves and provoke our thoughts on. My dear children, I told in the beginning of the class that this is one lesson that has made me to think every time I had to take a decision. And it's very true. Whenever we weigh on relationships and think about the kind of attitude that we are to take with our friends or relatives or parents or anyone around us, there are questions that provoke us. Should we do this? Should we not do this? What benefit I am going to get from doing this? Many questions are there. And every time these questions come up, I, on a personal note, think about this story. How can I go out of my way to make someone's life? How can I go out of my way, sacrifice my happiness, sacrifice what I have for the happiness of others, for the smiles of others, for the benefit of others? What is that I can do for others? It's a huge question and a huge decision to be made. And actions taken out of that molds you to be a better human being. It's truly, I believe that. So each one of us should be able to think beyond the small box that we live in. Our thoughts, our actions, our deeds, everything is confined to a very small box inside our brain. Think beyond that. Go beyond that. The world is so huge and so vast, and there is so much that as a human being that we are able to do. It might be a very small thing, but that very small thing, a very, very small word that you can say, a kind word, a happy word, a positive word. It could be even just a pat on a shoulder for your friend and say, "It's okay, I am there with you." Smile. Very small words that you can say to your loved ones. Say it. Do it. Forget about what they have done towards you. Cross beyond that limited, confined, selfish thoughts. Yes, the person opposite to you might have hurt you, might have caused pain for you. But think beyond that and go out and wipe a tear if you should, share a shoulder if you can. These are all great things that we can do. So be a better human being, and that is the greatest message that this lesson is giving for all of us. That unexpected twist in the end. Maybe some of you might have guessed it much, but still, Berman was able to go out and do it. Each one of us should develop a Burman inside us. And with that positive note, let me end today's class. The notes and the test paper is attached. Go through it, read the lesson very thoroughly and prepare well for your studies. Thank you and have a nice day.